So I'm excited to connect with John Duffin today. John has been a friend of the Be the Solution podcast and somebody I've known for now several decades
Mhm.
because Mr. John Duffin and I used to work in the radio industry
Yep.
together for many years.
Mhm.
And John, welcome to the show.
Maria, it's great to be back again. Thanks so much for having me.
Um,
I'm honored. I'm excited.
My pleasure. My pleasure. So we were just talking a little bit about our
Mhm.
words for the year.
Mhm.
My
Mm.
word is impact, and always, both personally and professionally.
Mm.
And I asked you what your word was, and you
Mhm.
told me.
Correct.
So precision, that can mean so many things.
Mm.
What do you mean by that?
Well, for me specifically, it's the ability to be able to get right to the heart of a situation in a business or a personal realm. Uh, Point blank, everybody is busy or being busy or creating busy. And so it's really important to understand that when you get opportunities, you take them in a way that both parties or all sides feel like this is a good situation. So precision is get to it, number one. Get to it in the right way so that it does create, I'm stealing your word, impact, which I love. And then third, knowing when the right time is or creating that right time. So those three things all matter. Don't meander around situations. Get to it.
Get to it.
Mhm,
That's tough for a lot of people, don't you think?
mhm. Well, you help. So one of the things, and by the way, I definitely want to know when you chose the word impact, why you chose the word impact. But I'll answer your question first since you're nice enough to ask. It's hard for everybody. And in having the understanding that they are whoever the other person is, prospective client, listing opportunity, sales group, whoever, podcast host or guest, they're at least as busy as you. At least. They've probably dropped at least one ball over the last 24 hours because they're human, not because they're a good or bad person. So if you go in knowing that, you help them, which is understand why you are speaking with that person. Make it easier for them. Do your homework. Literally do your homework. It doesn't take hours or days or weeks. Google them. Check out current news. Check out their social media pages. What's relevant to them at this moment? Because if you ask about that, chances are you'll get their attention, at least in a way that's not the standard tell me about your business. You know what I mean? Where people are just like so put out and turned off. And then immediately they're thinking, oh God, I got to do this today. I got to do that. So do your homework. Ask a couple of questions that are relevant and then listen. Whatever they say, pay attention. And every follow up has to do with their answer, not your script or I need to close this. Follow them because they'll typically take you in a direction likely that you'll want to go, especially if you're prepared.
Well, preparation definitely is the
Mhm.
key.
Yep.
The more prepared you are, the luckier you get.
Uh-huh.
Meaning, if we do our homework in
Mhm.
advance and we're ready to go, we show up with enthusiasm. I say you could have complete chaos
Mhm.
going on,
Mhm.
but when you are in front of a client, the show must go on. And that's showing up professionally, mentally in the right place, emotionally
Mhm.
engaged, and treating people like people.
Mm.
And how can we find the solution to
Mhm.
whatever their situation is, right? And every single person, there's a different situation, there's a different challenge. How do we get to it quicker? I always
Mhm.
say, don't leave that appointment without a next step.
Oh.
So always have that
Mhm.
next step
Mhm.
in a line. So you're at a listing appointment, for example, and it could be on the phone. I do a lot on the phone
Mm.
and
Sure.
the preliminary work.
Mhm.
And scheduling that next call with them instead of leaving it, okay, well,
Mhm.
when do you think you might make a decision about what you want to do?
Right. Or
And
hope they get to it at some point, which they won't. So this is where I say help them. That's what I mean, which is when you're asking questions that are relevant, meaning timely or relevant to their individual needs or business. What that does is free up a little bit more time. It always does. Somebody will respond favorably when you ring that bell, as opposed to the typical with listing, agents. So tell me about your house. How long have you had the house? Where it's help them so that when you ask for that next step, they're looking at it as service, not some pushy realtor trying to shove something down their throat. And that's why I'm laughing, because it's amazing. You and me, you brought it up in the introduction. I think it's great, Maria, and I'm always grateful for this. I honor where I grew up. I honor my family. I honor my past profession. And I do more than acknowledge it. I utilize it. I was in that field for over 25 years in terms of television and/or radio, more than 25 years. I've learned a ton. It would be foolish to waste that time and not utilize that expertise when I'm speaking to people, whether I'm hosting or whether I'm guesting on a podcast. I get to do that a lot, or speaking or coaching an organization. That's a respect and an acknowledgement of where I've come from. And I have to match that with a respect and an acknowledgement as to the other person or the other group or the other organization.
absolutely. I mean, that's the connecting part. That's the
Hmm.
part that, I think is missing in a lot of cases. It's a
Hmm.
connection. And you build rapport with people by being an expert. You
Hmm.
build rapport by asking questions. You build rapport. You don't build rapport by saying, "Oh, you like the Eagles."
Maria, as soon as you said those words, I can still remember somebody who I respected a ton that was showing me their presentation. The second page, and I mean the second page after the cover, had to do with giving them Eagles tickets. So it's like your show is called Be the Solution. It's hard to solve anything if it's just coming from you, unless these people simply want to be bribed or are such rabid Eagles fans that that's all they want to talk about. So as I said, it's if you really want to be the solution, well, then you help somebody. The questions are not, when I say ask good questions, it has become my mantra. Uh, it's how you more specifically navigate a conversation. Again, help them, ask questions that are relevant to them, listen intently to their answers, and the follow-up questions from me and or you or whoever, our audience today, would simply be based on those answers and your preparation and expertise that you're bringing to the table. Your ability to match those things in real time, to me, that's the solution.
Yes, it is. In real time.
Hmm.
There's just something about time. Time kills all opportunities.
Oh my God. It's like not just, you're so right. And not to mention, it's as you get older, as you get busier, as you're all freaked out because I can't go on TikTok or whatever, right? That sense of fear, anxiety, pressure, so much is going on. Treat the other persons, as they are your equals. Yeah, you're the expert, you're the leader, and all that stuff, but show the respect that you are their equal, because something is going on in your mind. The time factor, as you talked about, is you're trying to earn, in my mind, you're trying to earn the right to get more time. That's what you're seeking by the connection, by the solution, by the situation, is the ability for somebody to like literally drop their guard for 5 extra minutes. Like, oh, okay, she's cool or he's cool. Okay, great. All right, ask me what you want to know. And that sense of freeing up a little bit of bandwidth, really, that's the goal. That's what you want. is to earn extra time so your solution resonates. And that's what I seek to do
day in, day out. So you
all the
asked
time.
me a question about why my word is impact.
Mhm.
And
Correct.
I believe that the more people we can impact, the more we can help to change the world.
I love that.
So in my industry, being in
Mhm.
real estate and
Sure.
mortgage business,
Mhm.
being in the real estate industry for 21 years, hitting
Mhm.
21 years in next month,
Yeah. Fantastic.
21 years. And I believe that, there's a misconception about what the industry is and what the requirements are to be successful in this industry. And a lot of people get into the real estate world because they want freedom. Freedom is that it generally doesn't mean they're disciplined. And
Oh. Mhm.
this is more than, a full-time career. This is a lifestyle.
Mhm.
And real estate is everywhere.
Mhm.
And because it involves people, and some people need to live in houses, live in apartments. And if we can connect with more people and be more impactful in our work, then perhaps they won't be on the market and expire.
Mhm.
Somebody sent me a message last night. I didn't know who it was because the way it came over, they sent it via text, but sent it to the email. Anyway, the message wasn't a really good message
Okay.
from this person. And I look back and I said, well, why is this house not sold? This property, it's commercial property. And
Okay,
it's
sure.
not sold. It's not sold because the client does not listen. The buyers determine the price. We bring the property to the market at a certain price. The buyers, if they do not come and see it, they've rejected the price. And if we tell you over and over again that there are no showings because they've rejected the price, I can't help you.
You try your best. And here's what I love every bit of that. So the important skills, the listening skills for that individual. Like for me, some problems are really tough to solve. One of the reasons I can so admire and I'll use the word layers that you have to go through to get to that one individual. So when you talked about buyers and they the ones that typically set or hold a price, well, you can't control them. That's not a case where you can go in and make a bunch of new friends. That's where I go in terms of the precision. So they're really tough. They're really tough. Sending sloppy text messages, not you, the other individual. They're tough. And so the only thing I think about in the real estate field and any is how do I earn the right to get more time from that ultimate decision maker? And then the precision part is ultimately, are they just going to sit and spin your wheels? Just do nothing more. Where there could be some cases where you can't solve the problem. They either
Well,
don't
it
listen, you
takes it
can't make
takes
them.
it takes two people, right? It takes whoever the decision maker is, and in this case, myself. Now, here's another story on the flip side of this.
Right.
Last week or the week before, we had a property that went live to the market at a price that was going to bring multiple bids in. And so it went live for 375 and it's under contract for 415
Beautiful.
because the buyers, there were many of them, they decide the price.
Exactly.
It's up to them.
It really is.
I'm the deliverer of the messenger
Mhm.
of what the market says.
So this is why
I'm not miracle workers.
no, and you're not a surgeon where you're going to go in and precisely put this piece next to you're not. One of the advantages that we had, you and I had in regards to the other career is selling intangibles is tough. So I really love the skill set because it taught you how to listen, position, negotiate, educate. When you bring it into real estate where it is tangible, here's the house. No, that one. Oh, okay. As you said here, if I heard you correctly, again, in the education and speaking to an individual, reminding them, not just telling them, demonstrating how the buyers ultimately set the price is something that I would talk about with any, is not just telling somebody. It's coming to an agreement. How can you come to an agreement on something that matters so much? The inexact and or intangible part demonstrates no one's hitting 100%. Nobody. Your goal is to optimize the time, optimize the conversations so that you raise the percentage of those people that get, tell me if I got it right with the numbers, that like X price 375 and wound up being sold for 415, if I heard you correctly or close, right? Great conversation, I'm sure, at the point of reminding that person, we're going to price it at X. And here's why we're going to price it at X. And here's what typically happens. Here's a little bit of proof that this is historical and comps and or whatever, right? And then it's like, and then you come to an agreement. And again,
So it has to be somebody who, this story that I just told you
Right.
was an a person who handles the estate of this property, and they're a professional, so they're attorneys. And before people pass away, they hire this service to be the executor of the estate, so it's not being put on a relative. So that's the difference. You're dealing with somebody who wants strategy for the best possible outcome. And when you have the right strategy, precision, the right strategy,
How did
everything's
you,
aligned. There was a lot of work and effort that went into that before it even hit the market, getting the house prepared. The house had to be emptied out, having an home inspection done on the property since it was an estate sale. All these things have to happen before it even hits the market. People don't really understand, I don't think, the amount of effort that goes into even just getting a property ready to sell and why we take that extra time. And then when the property, it's virtually staged, it has a home warranty that comes with it. All the devil's in the detail. Again,
I had a former boss that threw that around all the time. The devil's in the details. And the first time I heard it, it was brutal. The situation was brutal. But every other time, I never forgot it. I never forgot that. And I love that. How do you, this sounds like I'm just more for the audience. I know you know this, but I'm just going to, how do you know that you have to do that much work in regards to, typically, like I said, you knew that. It's not like you made it up or it was your first rodeo. How do you know those steps? And better yet, how do you convey that to somebody where they get it more so than, do they believe it? That they're like, okay, I got it. How were you able to make that happen?
experience matters.
Yep.
Constant training, going to conferences, events. Here we are on a Sunday morning doing a podcast, putting in the time and effort to develop your craft and not just slap something on the market. I see properties that come off the market all the time that didn't sell, that should have sold.
Right.
We specialize in expired listings. Why? Because generally, none of the things that I deploy on every listing that I sell were deployed on these properties. And the information is there, but because the barrier of entry for real estate agents is so low,
Right.
and people don't understand really what is required of it, and most agents are buyer's agents and not listing brokers. So there's not systems and processes. I have a whole team of people. I couldn't do this by myself. People would say, why don't you just do real estate yourself? I said, I would just not do it. I would quit because I have 2 skill sets. And in a transaction, there's about 7. So how do the other ones get done? You need other humans. We're
That's the
human.
precision part. You know what I mean? And I would totally beg to differ. You've got way more than 2. But I'm going to say, but in reality, it's true. You often, most anybody, you don't have all of them. You don't have all of them. So why pretend, or why you wouldn't hope it doesn't come up? It's going to come up, one of those other skill sets. So you just said something where you were talking about like you specialize in outward facing communications to clients, to the audience, to potential clients, and inward facing with your team, with your colleagues, what have you. What would you say are your priorities in terms of educating your team this year? What do you think is important in regards to what they should know this year?
Well,
Current information.
we talk about a lot of different things, John,
Mhm.
but every single morning at 8:30, we
Mhm.
have an MQA success huddle. And we go over a theme. The last week's theme of the week was
Right.
dials. Because
Mm.
here's the thing, and let's
Mhm.
get down to it.
Mhm.
Okay. If you dial, somebody will eventually answer. So if they answer, you can have a conversation with them.
Mhm.
Conversation leads to an appointment. An appointment leads to a contract. A contract leads to a closing. If you do not make the dials, these things do not happen. So the
Cannot happen.
more dials that you
Mhm.
make, the greater propensity you have to succeed,
Mhm.
period. And I'll give you an example.
Great.
The end towards in fourth quarter last year, I
Mhm.
did a challenge. 100 dials a day, 5 days in a row. 500 dials for the week.
Mhm.
John, I couldn't. First of all, it took a long time to do it. Number 1.
Just doing the
And
math, it would take a long time.
And that's with also, it's not like that's my only job is
Mhm.
dialing the phone. Okay. I have clients. I have a full book of business. I have an office. I have
Mhm.
financials. I have marketing and other things going on. So I did have to move things around and cancel some things I was supposed to go to because I made this commitment. Now, what happened was, like, the one day, it took me till 8:23 PM to finish.
That's pretty precise.
Well, that's what time it was.
You know what I mean? 8:20, right?
It was
Great.
8:23. I was still at
Mhm.
the office by myself, sitting in the kitchen, dialing the phone, dialing the well, I use my
A
CRM,
service?
so I'm just
Sure. Well,
yeah,
thank God.
I'm just pushing, putting the buttons
Mhm.
and I put notes in, so I was
Yep.
calling from my computer.
Good.
So, what happened, though, was that from all of the conversations I had,
Mhm.
I could not keep up with the work I had to do. There was too much work. Like, I didn't have capacity to do all the work.
Mhm. And this is from
So
the works person.
the work works. So,
Right?
what does that mean? That
Mhm.
means that it's all about the cadence of the dial. Now, there's more involved in that. People say, well, if I did 100 dials, and let's just say Joe Smith, who's been in the industry 2 years, did the same 100 dials,
Mhm.
would we have the same outcome? Probably not. That person with less experience, less context, so there's more that goes into it, right?
Right.
The other part of it is the videos. How many videos have I done?
Mhm.
How many podcasts? How many marketing pieces go to the database? So, do I have a greater propensity for a result than somebody else
Mhm.
who doesn't do any of that? Sure. But if you work in our company, you have an advantage.
Mhm.
You have It's not just about, oh, Maria has 52,000 people in her database. It's more than that. There's all those people who have been getting information since
Mhm.
I've been using that CRM for 5 years. I just put under contract this property at 26th and Federal. The woman, our seller, our client, she was in the database for 5 years, and I
Mhm.
called her for 5 years. Miss Bonnie.
Did she ever say anything about you call her too much or leave her alone or why do you keep calling me?
No.
In 5 years, never once.
Nope.
That's relevant. See, that's important, I think, in terms of outward facing information. Gives you the green light to keep going.
Well, if you're not harassing people and you're kind, how you
Mhm,
doing, Miss Bonnie? How's your
mhm,
family?
mhm,
What happened with your brother? You have to understand that people are human. They're people, they have problems. They
mhm,
have situations. Somebody's sick, somebody has cancer, somebody's
mhm.
dying, you know, somebody just got into an accident. You don't know until you ask.
Right. That's where I
And
go back to the right to ask. That's where I go back to earn the right to ask. Earn the right, in Miss Bonnie's case, to continue the process, and that's the kindness part, that you're asking nice, kind questions that people would feel like, "I can answer that," or, "She hears me," or, or, it's cool, she's great, I'll keep talking." I think that part's awesome.
I think that there's a lot more that goes into real estate than people really understand that
Mhm.
goes into it. And you must be dedicated. And you have to think about it as this is a long game. Because last night when I got that text message,
Right.
I wrote this scathing. I screenshotted it. I didn't
Okay,
send
good.
it. No, no, no. It's in drafts. I basically said it's not sold because you don't listen. That's the pretty
That
much
was
the
the moral of that story, but
premise of it. But the point is, it's
Mhm.
you know, arguing doesn't get you anywhere.
Yeah, right?
It gets you. You may win the argument, but you lost the war.
But who cares, right? You know what I mean? It's like you learn that, you play that goofy game on social, not you, but it's like you have the opportunity to play that goofy game on social media all day, every day. So what?
Social media. So you bring that up.
Mhm.
TikTok, as of this morning,
Has been
people
banned.
can't get on. It's
Mhm,
closed. It's
mhm.
shut down. That's why you have to have different channels.
Absolutely.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Mhm,
Protect your intellectual property.
mhm. Different
Facebook,
platforms. I'm sorry, I didn't
LinkedIn.
mean. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Instagram, my top 3, now it's top 4. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube. Those happen to be my top 4. And this is where, when I asked you in regards to the current information that you're sharing outward, I love the dials example. It's great. You don't have to reinvent the wheel, but it's a reminder of somebody. Things aren't going to happen if you don't do this. And that was beautifully put. And so to me, the same results as social media, but as you said, it's respect for multiple platforms. If all I'm doing is putting up dance videos on TikTok, which by the way, nobody would need to see me doing that. But the fact of the matter is, if that was my thing, so to speak, and now it's gone, then what? When we talk about precision and asking the right questions and the right opportunities, you go back to doing your homework, being prepared, understanding that things change. And to me, it's the biggest thing, the last thing I ever want to be as an advocate, as an educator, as a trainer, as whatever, is I don't want to be telling old war stories from 1990X. You know what I mean? Who needs them? But to me, stay relevant, stay current, acknowledge where you've come from, but for God's sake, as you're speaking with people, understand that things change and it's up to me to be ready to adapt to that change.
We always have to be ready.
Always.
Always have to be ready
Mhm.
and thinking about, not in reinventing the wheel,
Right.
looking at the business you're in.
Mhm.
Okay, here's the cadence of the business.
Mhm.
See, if we don't have the results that we want, it's because we didn't talk to enough people.
100%.
So here's the cadence of, let's say, being a
Mhm.
listing broker,
Mhm.
looking at everything that we do. So this year, the impact internally is looking at everything we do. How can we make it better? Do we need to 86 that step? Do we need to add another step in?
Mhm.
And it's the little things. As I said, the devil's in the detail.
Mhm.
A little thing. I'll give you
Mhm.
an example. Sometimes you go to properties and there's multiple boxes on the lock boxes on the property.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It could be a condo building, and maybe
Sure.
there's lots of other condos. So I said, you go there and there's 8 effing boxes. How are you supposed to know which one? So I experienced this myself when I went to
Mhm.
show this property to a
Mhm.
client that just bought a condo that we closed on with them in December. Literally, they contacted us. I showed them. We went under contract and we closed all in less than 30 days, the whole entire process.
The whole deal. Mhm.
From the phone ringing until settlement was 30 days. So it's possible to have a deal in that time and
Yep.
close. But what happened was I'm showing, and there was one property that had 10 boxes on it. So I had to try all of them, and I was pissed.
Different locks, different combos. Oh no, this is a key lock. Oh no, this is
And
a
by the
combo.
way, they
Uh-huh.
gave me the guy gave me the wrong code. So then,
Oh,
so I came back to the
sorry.
office. I said,
Mhm.
make stickers. I said, make a label
Mhm.
and have our field service rep, Angelo,
Mhm.
put a sticker on every box that's ours. So it has our name, MQA on it, and then a phone number. So they know that that's our box, our listing. So
Your
the
brand.
agent's not coming and trying to figure out which box.
Mhm.
This is a devil in the detail
Mhm.
item. And that's what it's about. It's the little things. Back to the precision, John.
Right? The precision. Maria, you were describing just that specific situation very briefly, I will say, because I've been in the field. So I'm sitting on a Saturday on some dirty floor in a condo building. I never forget it. First time that it occurred. 900, and I'm exaggerating, 900 dirty lock boxes to go with the dirty floor that I'm sitting on. And I can't figure it out. I almost lost it. I am calling the listing broker and I'm out of my mind, and she is great. So it was like, also you have to be a psychologist in the midst of all this too, for you to add to all the crazy calls that you're getting inward. But all I would say is that it's the reminders, the details, the long game, that we're knowing full well that you're not coming in for easy, quick money. You're not. You're not. It's impossible. And I think the of that, just the knowing that everything can be proofed, checked. As you were describing, I think systems. I think know your systems. If you're lucky enough, sorry, terrible choice of words. When you're smart enough to have systems, know them. Make them adapt to 2025. Speaking of questions, speaking of precisions, like you said, I could picture what you're describing, and I think that would be awesome to see MQA. Like it to me, better than a billboard. You know, better than some big dumb billboard that nobody's going to pay attention to. You know, say, hey,
Had some of those big dumb billboards.
everybody has, because you figure, well, why not? Right? I know that's not a disrespect to the owner. For God's sake, they're making a resurgence in regards to popularity and efficiency. But if I'm trying to get into a home, I'm paying really close attention to the detail of, oh my God, this is great and easy. Question: how did you realize you said they gave you the wrong code in the phone call? How quick was it from the realization to reaching out to that and solving the problem? Knowing that you're a dialer, how did that go in terms of solving the problem?
Oh, it got solved, but we didn't
I love
buy
the way
that
you said
condo.
that. Oh, it
It got solved. So I'm always finding the solution. I'm
right.
like a lunatic out there.
In a good way. You need somebody
In
to
a good
solve
way.
problems.
In a good way, because I have a client to represent and gotta do our you don't give up. That's the thing. You don't give up. You know, the industry is an industry where people give up pretty easily. And it takes a long time to build a brand, years. And the number one thing is to do the right thing. And be the solution.
So when you're speaking with your team, and this is inward facing. Part of the beauty of this is they literally see you dialing, working the 8:30 a.m. MQA success. How are you finding it in terms of, overall, in terms of those weekly sessions? How do you feel that they resonate? Our prior field, that was their deal, was the weekly sales meeting. I'm always curious. Yours is daily. And so,
But we have, this is the cadence of our organization.
yeah,
Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. Success Huddle. It's on the phone.
right.
It's no longer than 15 minutes. We go over our wins, how yesterday was, what happened, what we got on deck for today. Monday, 2:00 listing meeting. We go over every single listing in the company that's listed, as well as what's coming online and what's in pipeline. We also go over after signatures. Friday, 1 p.m. sales meeting. We do sales training.
Oh, nice.
Not
Okay.
on real estate, sales.
Mhm.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m. to 12 noon. We fish and hunt. And in the afternoon, we eat.
I love the way you phrase that. It's great.
9 to 12, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We go hunting. That means we're on the phone making the calls. So I would like to add Tuesdays and Thursdays in, but this is what we're doing right now. And we call together. It creates momentum, creates noise, energy.
Absolutely. Teamwork,
The more
team
energy. Yeah, we have a little bell you ring when you get an appointment.
Folks, do you know I was a part of one of those? That I showed up for one of those, and as I said, it was along a long phone wall. I was there, and exactly with our friend Jay Duran, the culture man. And like I said, I was physically in the building making the phone calls that day, so I can guarantee you that Maria walks the walk, and it was fun. It felt good to do.
So, question comes down to how bad do you want it?
Oh, critical. That's, to me, knowing full well how I speak with anyone, which is this: there are going to be serious roadblocks. Maria, you addressed it. You don't know what somebody's going through. There are going to be serious roadblocks. It would almost be better served as an individual, as a sales organization, as a real estate company, to know they're coming. The only thing you don't know is what exactly they are. So if you know they're coming, then maybe you hang out in the field a little longer. Maybe you take a little more time knowing that you're going to get harpooned by something. You just are. Everybody does. Nothing to do with talent, ability, desire, heart. You're going to. Something in the business, something in your family, something or multiple something. So if you know it's coming, you may not get as freaked out when it comes. Treating those situations like some shock or, know it. So I really lean into, how are you setting yourself up? You talked about the success goals. How are you setting yourself up knowing that this is the case? Know it that some Saturday night you're going to get compromised because somebody's going to send you some terse. I used to have a client in my former field. I think their job was to wreck your weekend. I really believe that was their job. By 5 p.m., you could count on some horrible email, phone call, text message, and their job was to wreck your weekend. It wrecked mine. So what do you learn? Know that something is coming. Be very prepared to understand that there are going to be hurdles, roadblock situations. And so when you've got the amount of training in your own organization, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we all hunt, we all eat later, we are all on the phone weekdays at 8:30. It feels more like team building and less like punishment. And so therefore, you're ready. You're more ready to hang out a little bit longer and earn the right to get someone's time so you can solve their problem. I'll ask you one thing, right? Miss Bonnie, without giving out proprietary information, don't need any of that. But I'd be curious in regards to, what do you think it was, in addition to 5 years of calling, where she became ready for you,
Oh,
not ready in general, ready for you.
I think that just developing rapport, building a relationship on the phone. This particular property that she was
Mhm.
selling was occupied by a family member
Mhm.
for many years, didn't pay rent. Then the girlfriend stayed there. By the time I saw the property, it looked like a mess.
Right.
And this is her retirement money. This is what she has for her retirement.
Mhm.
And so we did have several offers on the property, but they weren't the asking price. Finally, it took 5 offers, and maybe 90 days on the market or so. But we
Mhm.
have last week, we have a full price offer. So, it's the time, the energy, it's the
Mhm.
commitment. It's the commitment to doing something that even though you want the sale, you have to do what's best for the client at the end of the
Right.
day.
Mhm.
Yep.
That excites me. Just it does. Like, those are the sorts of stories that excite me, and I don't think you ever get there without earning the respect of the other person. So that when they feel like, "Oh, I don't wanna tell her that." You do. She will. You know what I mean? Because it's like, because 'cause you've earned the respect to ask better questions and show enough compassion, be prepared enough, and then it's like, and then you garner trust. You garner trust. All those steps that I love that you shared, from the dials to the appointments to the situations, that precision all comes into play, and it also, I would imagine, reminds somebody that in a field that's difficult, oh, it's this, it's that, it's interest rates, it's blah, blah, whatever, right?
Well,
Um,
they're just excuses.
well, exactly. And that's what I was going to say. You remind people that there is a very real reason to do this because of how damn good it feels when you're able to make something happen for somebody, in that situation. And you did. And I think as an educator, which you also are, that's the beautiful part about, you know what I mean? You're going to help other people realize that, not just you, you know?
Absolutely. So, John, 2 questions for you.
Oh, cool. Yes.
Number 1, what is your guilty pleasure?
Oh my God. I thank you. Jesus, great question. So my guilty pleasure, like number one, is I'm a big pop music fan, right? So I can literally give you the dance moves to APT by Rosie and Bruno Mars, which is some goopy pop song, teen and stuff. So pop music with a hook. Don't care who's singing it or dancing to it. 100%, you will find that on my playlist right now. You just will. I think that's targeted toward an audience that's about 12 years old, but that is pop music with a hook.
Oh my gosh, okay. That's funny. Now, second question.
Yes.
What are you most excited about for your future?
Hmm. I believe in my heart that you can help other people carry a message that matters to everyone. I really do. You're explaining that in terms of the way that you're training. To me, the success part doesn't matter as much. For me, personal success, if other people are not benefiting from it. Like I said, I work with a mantra this year, and I'm a high energy communications leader who helps the world optimize their future one conversation at a time, is my current mantra. It matters because it's not just me winning. If I could train other people to be able to carry that message so that their futures are impacted, the clients that we interact with, the companies that we interact with, it ain't just me. I don't want it to be just me. That excites me, and that's the message and the mantra that I'm looking to carry out this year.
I love it. That's
Thank
amazing.
you.
I love it. Well, thank you, John, for being on Be the Solution podcast. You have been a great guest and a fan of the show. So thank you, and thank you for your friendship.
Oh my God,
And
that
I wish
especially.
you I wish you a fantastic year.
Thank you, Maria. It was great. And as your friend, I'm so excited that you continue to take the steps and go outward facing with the message. It's too damn important. So thank you for doing the work. Really matters. Thanks for having me.
Work works.
Damn right, work works.